sky. Black smoke and white line, steel horses side by side. It's more than just a living, y'all. Hell, it's our way of life. We're the last of the cowboys, the giddy up young boys. 18 wheels on the concrete, it's slowing down the breed. Rolling like Jesse James, modern day outlaw gang. If you're out here riding with me, come on back and make some noise. We're the last of the cowboys.
So if I had to guess, I would say a lot of you here recognize that song. If not that particular dance remix version from Trucker-songwriter Tony Justice of his Last of the Cowboys tune. First featured a couple of albums and a few years ago now. It's arguably his greatest hit in terms of its general popularity out there, as he notes in today's Overdrive Radio edition, in which Justice will walk us through his newest Greatest Shifts collection of previously released material, in addition to 6 brand new tracks we'll hear along the way. Here he is talking about that new Last of the Cowboys dance remix, which opens the record.
We didn't have the big budget to go in and re-recut it and do some really cool stuff that would have made that dance mix even cooler, but we got with the guy and we sat down and come up with some ideas, and we added the cool Clint Eastwood whistle in there, and some Jake breaks at the end of it, some boosted that kick drum quite a bit and hip-hopped it up. We're getting tons of great feedback. I was a little worried about it, but man, people seem to be loving that thing pretty good.
I'm Todd Dills, and if you've been listening to Overdrive Radio for the last few years, you'll know that I first met Tony Justice more than a decade ago in the parking lot of the old Nashville TA, before it became the Candy Bass Travel Center and before it, sadly, closed earlier this year. Given he'd released what amounts to a greatest hits collection here with that new record, I asked Justice this question to get the conversation rolling.
I think back, I can't help but I'm thinking about this new record, and I can't help but think back to the day I met you there in the parking lot of the old TA. I think maybe you played 6 Days on the Road or something like that for me from the cab of your truck back in 2010 or 2011 or 9 or whenever that was. And I'm wondering if you at that point would what you might have said to the idea that Tony Justice would have what amounts to in part a greatest hits record out in 2023.
No, I threw some pretty big ideas at you, and I'd be like, you wait and see, but they were never quite that big, I guess it's impossible to fast forward time machine, and go into the future and see what's going to happen. So I would have to say no, I did not envision that. But there's other things that I did envision that hasn't happened, but we've been blessed to accomplish most of the things on our list, and still working on the ones that hadn't come to fruition yet.
Well, it's a really good record, and there's a lot of great stuff on it. It is missing a couple of my favorites. One of them being the song from your first record, I think, which is Peterbilt 379.
Yeah. When we dove into this, I was wanting to do 30 songs or 25, but we come to the realization, publishing payout went up from 9.5 or whatever it was. We always rounded it off to 10 cents, per rider, per cut on the album. And that went up to like 12.5. So we had 25 songs picked that we wanted to use, and we realized that the publishing alone, not even counting the recording and duplication, was going to run us around $8,000. And we just didn't have it in our budget to put all the songs that I wanted to put on there. So it put me in a position where I was having to pick what I thought I basically just boiled down to what was kind of my favorites, because there was a lot more we wanted to put on there. And as far as the first album, I had a different producer. Randy Boudreaux produced that album, and I was learning about the music business and the do's and don'ts, and I did a don't that I shouldn't have did. And
okay.
We don't have the masters. He held onto those masters on that album, and so we tried getting up with him, and just didn't have no success at that. So we had to steer away from any of the songs off the first album, putting it on this one, because we just didn't have those masters to go in there and remix and to remaster the songs like we did with the ones that we used.
You can hear that first record On the Road, it was called, via streaming services out there, though. Listen on for sweetened up versions of tracks among the highlights of Justice's career, writing music, in most cases specifically geared toward, well, you. The men and women behind the wheel of the big trucks carrying the nation forward. Here's a bit of a sampling before, on the other side of a break, we'll drop right in with some of the new material on Tony Justice's Greatest Shifts record. Here we go.
Saddle the horse. She knows he's gonna go. She knows he's one of them. Brothers of the highway, children of the wind. That Detroit diesel pirate ship goes blowing out again. Sailing toward the setting sun. Freedom's their best friend. Brothers of the highway, children of the wind. Oh, bring it on in there.
Well, put the pedal to the metal. Try it out or run the rank. Another shot of truck stop coffee as I run in.
I tried trucks on the highways where I'm bound, trucking it up. Coast to coast and from town to town, it's in my blood. That white line fever feeds my soul. No matter which way I'm heading, I'm always headed home. I'll be there soon, with God and a little love. I drive trucks. I had a bad wreck. 285's wet dynamite. An American eagle tattooed on his left arm. Old Glory flying proud on that eastbound western star. He's got an MIA sticker for his brothers that's still missing, praying that somehow they make it home. He drives across this country from sea to shining sea. Slamming truck stop coffee down, midnight I'm Miami bound. 40 tons of Pennsylvania steel. I'll race the rain, fight to win. This radio's my only friend. But Lord, you know I love the way it feels, living life on 18 wheels. Living life on 18 wheels.
What's more powerful than a horde of Vikings? Your engine when it's treated with the best diesel additive available. Howe's Diesel Defender with IDX4 detergent is your warrior against low lubricity and harmful deposits. With Viking-like strength, it boosts your fuel economy and protects your engine like no other. Don't settle for the weak guy. Let Howe's Diesel Defender go to battle for you at every fill-up, and your engine will always be the champion, guaranteed. Explore even more at howesproducts.com.
Okay, here's Tony Justice, setting us up with the one cover track on the record, and it's beautiful.
It is cool, you know. That's another thing when we're picking songs for the album. There's a lot of other songs on here that I like, but I really wanted to keep the tempo of the album up. You know, I mean, we write songs and record albums for the men and women who keep this country rolling, and we got to put the kind of CDs and albums out there, I think, that helps them do that, you know. So we picked a lot of up tempo stuff. There's not very many slow songs on this album, and it definitely gets you in the trucking mood.
Eastbound and Down, of course, is the Jay Reed classic.
Eastbound and down, loaded up in trucking. We gonna do what they say can be done. We got a long way to go, and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound, just watch old bandit run. Put Put your foot hard on the pedal, so never mind them brakes. Let it all hang out, 'cause we got a run to make. Boys are thirsty.
Who's playing the guitar on the new stuff here?
Jeff King, the same guy that's been playing for me on the last 5 albums.
Okay.
He smokes, man. He's
man.
actually from Jonesboro, Tennessee, down here in my neck of the woods. But he's been playing guitar on tour with Brooks and Dunn and Reba there for many, many years. Him and Tommy. I can't remember Tommy's last name, but he's the drummer for them as well. He plays on all of our tracks. So we've been blessed with just great musicians on all of our albums, and he really did his homework and brought that thing back to life, in a cool way.
Get up and trucking, we gonna do what they say can be done. We got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound, just watch old bandit run.
We didn't want to mirror the song, just exactly. Like I said, we didn't want to have that come out of the barrel, the end of the shotgun barrel, and it sounded just exactly. We wanted to add some originality to it, and I wanted to make it a little more rocking, truck it up kind of style, and that's what we ended up with, and no turning back now.
Yeah, the drums are kind of a little less frenetic on this. They're more like in that rock kind of groove rather than what's on the original. I really like that approach to it. It's nice.
Yeah, it's cool. Then toward the end of it, when we do that chorus for the last time, we go into double time on it, and that's a really cool element. It's like putting it in the big hole, turning it loose. In my mind, that's me blowing past the scales. Putting it in the big hole. It's a lot of fun, and and it just seemed, in the studio recording a song like that, who'd ever dream, you'd be getting the opportunity to do that. So it was super cool, nerve-wracking. Anytime you do a remake, especially such a big song like that, you got to make it your own, and it's it's got to measure up, to a certain extent, or you're just going to get blasted. And so it's nerve-wracking. But after actually, when I got it back, I sent it to a friend of mine. I said, I'm too nervous to listen to it, and I sent it to him, and he listened to it before I did. He goes, "Man, you did great. You got nothing to worry about. Listen to it." So we've been getting a lot of great feedback on that song, and it's an honor to get to record it. For sure. Yeah.
If you've got like a what should be probably a Tony Justice radio hit. Now, whether that, I know that's another. The whole radio world is weird, and it's definitely weird now versus back when you probably started playing music and everything. But if you've got one, it's probably this 1 Mile at a Time song. This thing is it's got the strings a little bit there, but it's just it just sounds to me like it ought to be. It ought to be sung along with, and
it just hits different. And you get, every time you go in the studio, you get those 2 or 3 songs, if you cut 12 or 15, that just get a little something extra angel dust sprinkled on them. And this song, when it just right out of the gate, it just hits with that fiddle, and it puts me in. I was having trouble defining 2, and I sent it to John Hiley and sent it to Brian Bushnell, which is a couple of guys that I talk with all the time when I'm trucking. I'm like, man, what is it with this song? And I think John Hiley put it in perspective the best. He says it's like the trucking industry's salute to the rodeo. And it's got that much too young to feel this damn old feel to it, that 90s Garth Brooks or Amarillo by Morning kind of feel to it, it's just, I don't know, it's just different. It's definitely my favorite song of the new ones on the album, and maybe all of them. I love it. And just when you're running down the road, it's just there's this feeling you get sometimes when you're trucking, unless you've been a trucker, you can't talk about it to someone else that's not a trucker, because they'll never understand. But you just have those days that come along, a part of a day, whether it's a sunrise or evening, that, man, you're just out there and everything's going perfect. You got your window rolled down, the temperature's perfect, you got your radio blasting, you're cutting across, Arizona or somewhere in the Southwest, or going through, the mountains out there in Colorado or whatever. And you look like you're driving in a postcard, and the wind's in your hair. You feel like it's just the greatest day that you've had in a long time.
Right.
Feeling, you just get that feeling of being that last of the cowboy, you really, and that song encompasses that feeling.
Grabbing gears all night long, hauling, bucking bulls, chasing the dawn, just a man in the moon and me, and a few million stars. I'm gonna kick 'em off out in no shine, grabbing a few hours sleep, do it all again, let these 18 wheels play that same old song. Now this old life ain't for everyone, you see, but I'm glad the good Lord chose it for me, 'cause it sets me free. So I'm gonna keep on rolling, keep on moving on down these endless wide lines, racing me.
I've always said, if I could write a song that captures that feeling, and everybody that hears the song feels that, I'd have something, and those are really my intentions with this song, but that's always in the back of my mind with any song that I'm writing. And this one right here has probably come closer to doing that than anything that, that I've written. I think even more so than Brothers of the Highway and Last of the Cowboy.
Moving on down these endless wide lines, racing midnight trains, that westbound Santa Fe, like a lonesome cowboy on a full moon outlaw ride. Gonna keep on riding this story of my life, 1 mile at a time.
I heard folks talk about that kind of feeling, just that kind of love of the job in those kinds of moments, right? Like just glad to be alive kind of thing. This does it. Yeah. Who's singing the backups on this thing?
Man, the guy that co-produced the album with me, he brought this guy in to sing harmonies, and I'd never heard of him. Guy in Nashville was trying to do his thing, and he does harmonies and does some demo work, and he came in and just smoked it. I mean, his vocals matched up great with my vocals. He loved the songs. I mean, he's like, man, this is the coolest stuff I've got to sing harmonies to in a long time. So he really got into it, and give it that extra effort. And man, what a great job he did.
Is that a sole write on that one for you, or did you work with anybody on that one?
Yeah, so I wrote probably 80% of it, and then I got with Jeff Sylvie. He's produced my last 5 albums before this one, and he helped me get it across the finish line. There's a couple things I wanted to hammer out. He helped make the song better, and so he's on there as a co-writer. So it's not a completely solo write, but 75-25 deal.
On a different kind of totally different feel, you've also got this. You mentioned a lot of the songs being pretty upbeat and. Real driving music here, but you've got a it's a real, this thing is a tearjerker here. I mean, this thing is going to make you, if you're in any kind of emotional state at all, this song is going to make you cry, and it's that Teardrops and Taillights thing. It's all about what every over the road truck driver deals with, which is leaving home, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they have a family, then it encompasses that, that saying goodbye, you know, that we all go through, and, you know, leaving the family behind, and, you know, you worry about them while you're gone, they worry about you while you're gone. But, you know, it's a song that's not just about the driver, it's about the family and what they go through.
Teardrops and taillights fall and fade into the night. The cold rain on his windshield tears him up inside. They know he's gotta make that run. He knows he's missed back here. In his rearview mirror, his family slowly disappears. Teardrops in its taillights, 4 hearts that beat as one. That's what keeps him holding on. It's sad eyes and it's goodbyes. Daddy, when you're coming home, don't worry, son, it won't be long till these 18 wheels come rolling home again.
You know, it's really weird because, man, I wrote that song about 2 or 3 days before we went into the studio, along with 1 Mile at a Time.
Okay.
I really had two spots left on the album, and I was like, really wanted it to be some new stuff. You know, I didn't want to pull 2 more songs off from the older albums. I wanted more new stuff, and the 2 songs that I had, I wasn't 100% sold on, and I wrote those 2 songs back to back. I wrote 1 Mile at a Time like on a Wednesday, and then Teardrops and Taillights the very next day. I don't know where they come from, so always give God the credit for stuff like that. And but yeah, it just talks about, you know, one of the biggest realities of what we do. You know, saying goodbye to our families saying goodbye to us, missing some of the birthdays, missing, you know, some of the football games, you know, the kids have, you know, those things that we miss out on, and, you know, not knowing if we never ever promised we're gonna make it back, you know. So I see it all the time out there in my 22 years of driving. You know, you come up on accidents and you see, you know, it wasn't good, you know. So it's just hits on that reality of what we face as drivers every time we leave home. The reason we have as many supporters as we do and followers with my music is, you know, my music's real, that they know I've been out there in the trenches with them. And even though I'm writing the song from my perspective of it, it's still a trucker's perspective. And so it really resonates when you put music out. You know, I always believe that, you know, if you write a song and record it, if it doesn't evoke some kind of emotion, whether it makes you swell up with pride, or makes your eyes water up, or makes you want to dance or laugh, then you failed as a songwriter and an artist. So we definitely hit that one pretty good when it comes to the emotional side of life.
Miss football games and holidays and some happy birthday songs, and those straight pipes sound like thunder as they roll into the night. They pray he makes it home safe. He prays the miles fly by. Teardrops in its taillights, 4 hearts that beat as one. That's what keeps him holding on.
There's a song on here. I think it's about your dad. It's called Mr. Time Traveler, I believe, right?
Yep, Mr. Time Traveler. I wrote that about a year ago, and I knew, I was like, well, when I ever get back, I was kind of bummed about it because I wrote that song about a week after we got through recording the last album. I'm like, man, I can't believe I didn't write this before. You know, I was bummed out about it not making it on the.
It was 18 Gears to Life. Yes. It was on the tip of my tongue as well. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyhow, so I sit on that one for a long time and was excited to get recorded. And of course, it's, you know, thoughts of my dad is what triggered the idea for the song. And, you know, I got that first line where, you know, he stopped off out in Modesto to rewrite history. You know, I mean, hearing them stories of that era of trucking from my dad and all the different stories. And he didn't drive a Diamond Rio. He drove a KW, but that Diamond Rio sounded really good in that song. It sung a lot better than a KW, but you know, he turned it into a time machine so he could get back to his family. You know, I mean, those guys worked their butts off back in those days, and they tried to get back home and make up for lost time as much as they could.
He stopped off out in Modesto rewrite history. He turned that diamond Rio to a traveling time machine. All hopped up on black beauties and no truck stop caffeine. And just in case, a little toothpick soaked in racehorse gasoline. Hammered down and headed home, back to his family. Mr. Time Traveler, can you turn them back again? The hands of time so we can ride with ourselves in the wind. Mr. Time Traveler, you can take that front door. I'd be damn proud to run you six and chase you all the way back home. Mom would love to see your face, see you walk back through that door. How you'd love to see these grandkids, ain't hard to tell they're yours. Yeah, the most you were just a truck driving man, but that trucker was my dad.
That song means a lot to me, and it was cool to get to put it on this album.
Yeah, tell us about your dad. Is he still around, or is he?
Nope, I lost my dad back in 07.
Okay.
2007. He drove for 30 years.
Yeah.
You know, he took me trucking with him quite a bit, you know, when I was able to. Wasn't in school, and did a lot of work on the weekends. He owned 3 of his own trucks, co-trucks, and back in Kentucky back in the early 80s. And so I grew up washing those things and greasing them every weekend. You gotta maintain those things quite a bit more, going in and out of the mud and the dust of those mines. And so that was a weekly chore me and my brothers all did. We did that with him, and you know, he was just, you know, instrumental in my whole life, teaching me work ethic, manners, you know, remembering all those cool stories you always come back home off the road with. I would hang on to those, every word, you know, and miss him every day. And that song's definitely a tribute to him.
Yeah. What was his name?
So Bob Justice, he went by Big Daddy on the CB radio back in Eastern Kentucky.
Another one of the new songs here is it might be a Guinness World Record for the song with the largest number of active CDL holders on it at any one time.
You did research that.
I think there's 3 on there, and it's you and our past Trucker Talent Search competitor Terrence Mathis,
yep,
who does the rap on there, and then the other driver, I can't remember his name right now, but
so it's Jacob Bonham,
and the song's called "Truck It Up."
The Jacob Bonham with Bonham Transportation out of Texas, better known as Hater Made. He's got a huge TikTok following, and he's known. He's got a little phrase that he's coined, and where he says, "You know what it is," and at the end of the rap part that Jake Break's doing, the lyrics are, "I'm a truck driving, gear jamming son of a, you know what." Well, we didn't want to put the B word on the album, so right when you think he's gonna let it rip.
We spend our lives stepping in a bitchin' like our ass is on fire. Heads are catching on. I ain't complaining, y'all. I'm just confessing this diesel life I'm living. It's a trucking obsession. I'm rolling northbound, southbound, east and west. I'm a truck driving, gear jamming son of a.
You know what it is. Let's truck it up, burn down the night. It's a lot of mud, like the 4th of July. Ain't no conviction feeding this addiction. It's what we were born to do and love. Hammer dropping, 18s and rocking. Yeah, we just can't get enough. Let's truck it up.
You know, 3 current active CDL holders, truck drivers, on one song. I was talking to you about that the other day when you called. I don't know that that's ever happened or not. So it's kind of cool to do something for the first time if it hadn't.
We would be definitely overlooking something if we did not include your wife's favorite, a discussion of your wife's favorite song on this record. At least that's what she told me, which is a truck called Purgatory. Is that the title?
Truck named Purgatory.
Named Purgatory, yeah. And that's a reference to the truck you've been in for a long time with Klein Everhart Transportation there.
Yeah, no, it's it's kind of funny. The guy that rode on a few songs with me, well, Last of the Cowboys, Robbie Hopkins. He
Hopkins.
co-wrote on Last of the Cowboys. We've written quite a few songs together. He got a hold of me and goes, "Man, I hear you're doing a new album. We need to get together and write, And I said, "Well, let's set us a date." So we did, and he on his way up from he lives in Chattanooga area. So on his way up, coming up 75 North, he had this melody and idea hit him. He said, "I got this little idea," and he had that chorus run.
Faster than a speeding bullet, strong like a Superman, rolling like a locomotive, all an ass all across this land. Someday when I'm in that grave, there's gonna be one hell of a story about a country singing truck driving man and his truck named Purgatory.
Man, that's catchy. That's catchy beat, and the rhythm. It's upbeat. Of course, I was looking for something else upbeat, and so the song idea was his. I give him all the credit for that one, and we took and wrote the verses and started realizing this is a song about your truck, And I said, well, so it's probably fitting, I said, I think my truck's more famous than I am. So my brother's out there driving it right now, and I get messages all the time. That's you coming up 40 over here in North Carolina. I just passed you. I told my brother, I said, I always know where you're at. There's no hiding from me as long as you're in that truck. But because we've been working more on the music than we have been trucking lately. But that thing is just like grab a hold, sit down, hold on, shut up, and crank that thing up. It's just a rocking tune, and pays tribute to my truck. She's took good care of me over the years, and she probably needed a little recognition. So it was that's a fun one for sure.
Well, I pulled out of Knoxville in a cloud of smoke, blowing scales left lane, rolling cold. And I pointed at a rig out there where the wild, wild west was won. Turned the 3-day trail full of.
So it's a 06 379 Peterbilt. It's 600 cat in it. It's got the Packard lower end block in it, but it's got the 06NZ heads converted to a single turbo. It's a pretty cool little combination. So she's been a heck of a daggone truck. I think we've put a little over 3 million miles on it, and we've rebuilt it twice. So it's got the miles on it. Yeah, we'll go back out in it next week and do a little trucking.
It's a great, like I said, how much trucking have you done this year? I know you've been, you had the big large cars and guitars show. I know there's a ton of work goes into that, I'm sure, and I know you've been doing shows around the country.
I've still been trucking it up quite a bit, but it's been in that tour bus. God's will. Thanks to the folks at Bennett and family companies for helping make that happen, and Ed Evans Family Farm, DPF for Generation, and all of our tour sponsors. So, we've been out there on the road about just as much. Just hadn't been in the big truck. And I think this year I did like 3 runs. We went out to St. Louis and delivered a load and shot over to Jefferson, Missouri, and put the Air Dog fuel system on that truck, which made an incredible difference on my fuel mileage and performance. And come back from that, cool. I think I did a run out to Mesquite, Texas, and back, and then we did wreaths across America back in December. And then I bobtailed down to southern Mississippi for the Operation Teddy Bear, where we did that. Raised some money and took some stuff down there to Preston. Little Preston got sent back home on hospice, and we was able to raise enough money where Dad could stay at home with him until he passed, and didn't have to worry about going to work and supporting the family. So those are about the only things I've done the last 12 months in it.
How's that tour bus treating you? It's been about a little more than a year that you've had it.
About a year and a half. It's been a huge learning curve. There's a lot of functions. There's a lot of functions on those buses, and it's been some headaches in a way, but it's just one of the things you're too blessed to be stressed about it. We get it figured out, and it's pretty cool. Right up and down the road, it's surreal sometimes. I passed my truck in it one day. I was going up 81, and it's like, I caught up with the ETI truck. I said, that's my truck. My wife was with me, snapped a picture of it while we was going by at the bus. It kind of brought things to full circle where we started at and where we're at, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like I said, we've been so blessed, you know, so many great sponsors, you know, especially, you know, the folks that been at family of companies. I don't know if this album would have existed, you know, without them. They come in and sponsored the CD, and then on top of that, they've done so many other things, and they won me over with their driver appreciation and how they treat their drivers. We hung out off and on for about a year before we done a deal, so I really got to know them, and they got to know me, and you know what an awesome company that they have, and so you know just a lot of people that make all this possible, you know, and we're just blessed.
Yep.
We're just work hard every day, try to keep it going, and so far so good.
Still shook off my load out there in such a shaky town. I loaded California grapes, big fresh off the vine, to keep the rich folks sipping and the winos kicking girls pretty at closing time. Gotta hammer down and make these big wheels whine. Faster than a speeding bullet, strong like Superman, rolling like a locomotive, hauling ass all across this land. Someday when I'm in that grave, it's gonna be one hell of a story about a country singing truck driving man and his truck named Purgatory.
So Bennett surprised Justice back in June when his Greatest Shifts record was released alongside his performances at the Nashville NASCAR races. Bennett put the record's cover on the car of Austin Hill in the Xfinity Series, as Justice tells here.
They did it just for the Nashville race, you know,
Just
when
for
they
the
were in
Nashville
Nashville here a couple months ago, and that was a surprise to us. You know, that just speaks volumes, you know, how great of a sponsor they are. You know, they didn't have to do that. You know, our deal was in concrete. So, you know, they don't just sponsor my album. They promote the heck out of me and push me, you know, try to further my career, help us grow as an artist. So, you know, we released the album that weekend, the same weekend, and, you know, just happens to be there was a little NASCAR race going on in Nashville that weekend, and they put us on the deck lid of the Richard Childress race and number 21 Austin Hill car for the Xfinity race, and turns out, you know, he kind of backed it in the wall there a little bit first of the race, and had some damage back there. And me and Misty's like, try not to high five them because we're sitting in the pit box. They're not happy about it. I'm like, I ain't that happy, but we're getting a crap ton of camera time right now with the. You know, he's leading the points, you know, so he's won 4 races this year, and you know he's one of the top competitive drivers in that series, and so that was a big story, him backing into the wall, and what's this going to do to his points? Is it going to mess up with his arrow? This could be a bad race for him. So they were documenting that quite well throughout the race on national TV. So it was just, you know, just funny how the way things turn out. And like I said, Bennett's been the best sponsor that's ever come along. They do so much on top of what they agreed to do. They go above and beyond.
Yeah. And how is it? How were the shows there at the so that you did associated with the Nashville race there? Because I know you were going to do you were doing one show with the band, I think, and then you were doing a series of acoustic performances as well.
Concert down the fan zone was awesome. We had a lot of people down there, and then we did a drive around acoustic show on Friday, where we jumped in the back of a pickup truck and went around to the different campgrounds, that was cool. But they waited until practices started and leading into qualifying, so there wasn't too many people in the campgrounds. They was all over the track watching practice and qualifying. So I questioned the timing on that a little bit, but there were still a few people hanging out, and we got to meet some folks and play a little bit of music, and it was a lot of fun.
If you had to say on the Greatest Shifts record, among the non-new tracks, what do you want us to go out on?
You know, the truck stop, because it reminds me of Mom, you know, all the years she put in working at the truck stop after Dad passed away. You know, she works the pilot down here to 417 and exit 4, and she loved that job so much. And I asked her one day, Mom, that's a lot of hard work, because she was, you know, cleaning showers and doing maintenance. She wasn't like, you know, making the Cinnabons. She's working her butt off, you know, lugging those heavy ass trash bags out of the fuel islands onto the back of a golf cart and slinging them over into a dumpster. You know, for those that know her, she's not bigger than a minute. But
Right.
strong as could be for a woman, she just throwing things around like they were nothing. So, and I asked her, so why do you do that? You can do any other job. She goes, every one of them drivers that walk into them truck stops, just they remind me of your dad. I feel like I'm still getting to do something for your dad, and that kind of stuff's real. It hits you pretty hard, and so that song's got a really special meaning to me.
I took a job on the interstate, late night, third shift, really low pay. I was hired to greet the out-of-towners, some on uppers, some on downers, try to help them on their way. I got a boss, but you never know. I'm the one here who runs this show. I sell jerky and gasoline, fix the broke down Slurpee machines, mop these dingy floors until they glow. That's my job at the truck stop. I take money, I make change, smile and send them on their way. It ain't a life of fortune, fame, or glory, but I shook the hand of Johnny Cash just a week before he passed, passing through on his way to Montgomery. I ain't got much, but I got stories.
A big thanks to Tony Justice for walking us through the record. Truth be told, he had a tough time answering that last question. All the tracks from his prior records included here on Greatest Shifts hold a pretty special meaning for the Trucker-songwriter. You can track through all of the songs on any of the music streaming services. We'll embed the record too in the post that houses this podcast, overdriveonline.com/overdrive-radio, August 21st, when we go live there, the site. As always, here's a big thanks for listening, and if you're hearing this early via the podcast feed, check out the post on the site for a little more about where you can catch Justice performing, upcoming, at a variety of truck shows and other places. Tell them we said hi if you can catch it.
That's my job at the truck stop. I take money, I make change, smile and send them on their way. It ain't a lie.
Overdrive Radio is a production of Overdrive, the voice of the American trucker. It's edited and produced by me, Todd Dills, with the acoustic guitar and other support of Trucker-songwriter Long Haul Paul Marhofer. The theme for this outro today is Truck Stop by Tony Justice. And the podcast is backed up further by Overdrive's own news editor Matt Cole, social media coordinator Holly Young, executive editor Alex Lockey, and video editors Lawson Rudisell and Andrew Gwynn. Until next time.
Took a job on the interstate, late night, third shift, really low